Good morning, church. Today we're continuing to talk about these themes of Jesus leading us to Christmas. Today we're talking about how Jesus came to fulfill all righteousness. There are accusations against Jesus throughout his time that he disobeys the law or that he disregards who God is calling his people to be. And over, Jesus is trying to show the Israelites that he's not there to disregard the law. He's not there to tell them that they should just live however they want. Paul repeats this often in his letters, that freedom does not mean freedom to sin, it means freedom to obey. And the passages that we're looking at today help us understand what that looks like. In Matthew chapter 5, verses 17 through 20, Jesus, in verse 17, he says, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets." He's not just the laws, the 613 specific commands that the Old Testament has, but he's saying everything that was about the covenant that God made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that's not over. God didn't abandon his promises. Instead, Jesus is saying, I'm going to take what was begun in Genesis chapter 12 with Abraham, really back in Genesis chapter 3 when God spoke to Adam and Eve. He's saying, I'm going to take that and I'm going to make it come to fruition. And so if you go back one chapter to Matthew chapter 4, you see where Jesus does obey. He's tempted by Satan, and each time he does what the people of Israel had failed to do throughout the Old Testament, which is to cling tightly to God in love, not out of a sense of fear or a sense of trying to prove our own worth, but because Jesus loved the Father so much and trusted him so unconditionally, that when he was given a temptation, it was easy for him to say, no, that's not what I want. That's not, his heart was aligned with God's. I don't want what you have to offer. I want what God has to offer. And because he did that perfectly, he fulfilled all of those covenant requirements that God had given to Israel. He was the son that God needed Israel to be. And because of that, we are now free to step into that same mentality that Jesus had. We don't have to be afraid of, God zapping us because he's angry at us. We are free to obey because it's the right thing. It's the good thing. It's the best thing. Not because we don't want to die. Not because we don't want to go to hell even. Rather, because we're so in love with God, because we trust him so implicitly, and we know that his way is actually the best way for us, we can obey. And so Jesus says, unless you are more righteous than the scribes and Pharisees, you cannot get into the kingdom of God. And if you're not, it's because you demonstrate that your love for God is weak. Your faith in him is false. So if you have faith, continue to pursue, not just to gain a prize, but because you love and trust God. It's going to flow out of that. The more that your love and trust grows, the more your obedience will grow. The more you obey and find that he is true to his word and that his way is best, you'll love and trust more and more. That's how Jesus fulfilled those covenants, and he passes on righteousness to those who follow him.